My childhood friend couldn't stand seeing me in the spotlight. In my past life, after winning first place at the noble ladies' banquet with my poetry, he suddenly belittled me in front of everyone. You've been useless since childhood, didn't you just copy that poem from the princess next to you? Because of his words, the honor meant for me was bestowed upon Princess Wenying instead. I endured scorn and contempt, banished forever from the capital's banquets. Later, after saving the regent prince, I sought him out with the jade pendant. But Lu Qi, my childhood friend, dragged my cousin into the fray. He insisted my cousin was the regent prince's true savior, claiming I'd stolen the pendant out of jealousy. My parents cast me out. I lived like a stray dog, fighting for scraps, until starvation and cold claimed me on the streets. Reborn, I find myself back at the noble ladies' banquet. Lu Qi glares at me, lecturing, a lady should be modest and reserved. Who are you trying to impress by drawing so much attention? Lu Qi's habitual sneer and undisguised scorn made me flinch. Surrounded by familiar scenes, dresses fluttered, tea fragrance wafted, fighting my pounding heart, I realized I had been reborn. Reborn at the noble ladies' banquet. In my past life, Lu Qi, my childhood friend, took pleasure in belittling me. If I bothered to dress up, he'd turn cold, wipe the rouge and powder from my face, and sneer contemptuously. Jiayi, do you realize you're just average? No amount of makeup will turn you into a goddess. Promise me you'll stop dressing up. You look ugly and will just invite ridicule. His words left me too humiliated to lift my face, tears nearly spilling. Lu Qi grinned carelessly. Unconcerned, Jiayi. I'm just telling the truth. I'm your childhood friend, you should trust me. I wouldn't lie to you. After returning home, I hid in my room and cried for a long time. Dejected, I locked all my cosmetics away in the makeup chest drawer and never touched them again. At the end of your graduation, I ranked first in the private academy.my essay was so well written that the master praised me by name. All eyes in the classroom were on me, and many people congratulated me, except for Lu Qi. A shadow of displeasure flickered in his eyes before he sneered, oh my, our private school is about to produce a female top scholar, how extraordinary. The master merely praised you offhand. You wouldn't take it seriously, would you? What good is a girl excelling in her studies? Even if you read until the sky falls, you'll still end up marrying, serving your husband, and raising children. Lu Qi offered not a single word of congratulations, only contempt. Liang Jia, you wouldn't dare dream of becoming a female official, would you? Those positions are chosen from 10,000 candidates, requiring layer upon layer of rigorous selection. What chance do you have, with your level of ability? It's hopeless. Not a single kind word ever passed his lips, only when I was so humiliated and angry I couldn't lift my head, my eyes red and swollen. Did he drawl with a slow smile? Liang Jia, I only do this for you, to make you see yourself clearly. When others praise you, they're just flattering you, only I tell you the truth. But in my past life, I endured every single one of his belittling remarks. Lu Qi only tolerated his bullying. If anyone else mocked me, Lu Qi would confront them, fight for me, and beat them bloody until they apologized. He was that contradictory. Time and again, he crushed me, pushed me into the abyss, left me homeless and ridiculed, until I starved and froze to death on the streets. I end this new life. Lu Qi still sneers at me with the same haughty air, his words unchanged. Your poetry is vulgar and shallow. I advise you not to participate. This gathering is full of noble ladies, every one of them more intelligent and eloquent than you. Entering the competition will only make you look ridiculous. My fingers curled tightly around the poems I'd prepared in my palm. Even though I'd heard these exact words once before in my past life, hearing them again felt like a bone-deep, piercing injustice. Seeing my head bowed, a faint, distant sneer curled his lips. Lu Qi froze for a moment. I used to trust him completely, obeying his every word. The slightest disparagement or provocation would make my eyes well up with tears, which I'd wipe away secretly. Then, sulking and filled with self-doubt, I'd follow him home, afraid to do anything that might draw attention or overstep my bounds. But this time, I said nothing. I didn't respond to him at all. Lu Qi grew restless at my unusual behavior. After a long, cold silence, seeing no sign of my yielding, he finally spoke stiffly. Don't blame me for not warning you. You insisted on joining. If you embarrass yourself later, don't come looking for my sympathy. He glanced at the poem I clutched in my hand and said impatiently, fine, you're hopeless. Hand over your poem. I'll Edit it for you so you don't lose too badly. My body trembled, and I clutched the thin paper tighter, refusing to let go. In my past life, I trusted him completely, without a shred of caution. After enduring his scornful remarks, I obediently handed him my poem for critique. He, of course, tore them apart. Then, Lucci turned around and shared my poems with Princess Lanue. After the poems were submitted for judging, it was Lucci, my childhood friend, who stepped forward and accused me of plagiarism. Overwhelming terror, injustice, and despair engulfed me. I forgot even to defend myself, my mind blank as I stood frozen, enduring the scorn and contempt of every guest at the banquet. My most helpless moment, Lucci stood beside me once more. I watched him kneel in apology for me, bearing the weight of everyone's curses. Please don't blame Jai. She was merely momentarily bewitched. As her childhood friend, I can vouch for her. She's not the sort to resort to underhanded tricks. I implore you, distinguished ladies present, to grant Jai one more chance to redeem herself. She was simply too eager to shine. I stumbled home in a daze and hung the white silk that night, attempting suicide to prove my innocence. Lucci heard the sound of a stool being kicked over and burst into my room. His eyes bulged as he tore me from the silk. He wept, begging the doctor to save me at any cost. When I regained consciousness, the worry and urgency on his face were replaced by his familiar scorn. Seeing me awake, he sneered, "Is this all you're capable of, Liang Jia? Trying to copy others by attempting suicide, yet too cowardly to actually die? Just to make us worry, right?" My voice caught in my throat, a sharp pain making it impossible to speak. The faint gratitude in my heart was replaced by a dense, suffocating pain and disappointment. He sat beside my bed, offering a bowl of medicinal broth with rare gentleness. "Will you dare to show off again? Disobey my orders? Fame always comes at a price. Have you learned your lesson yet?" My hand trembled as I grasped the bowl. I flung the entire bowl of medicine at him, my voice raspy and hoarse, accusing him in broken, tear-choked words. "You knew that poem was mine. Why did you help Princess Lanue frame me? Anyone could slander me, stab me in the back, but it should never have been him." Suddenly, I felt utterly crushed, drained of all strength. The indomitable spirit that once burned within me had been crushed to dust by him. Lucci deftly dodged the splash, brushing a few droplets from his robe. Still wearing that unconcerned expression, he grinned at my pale face and eyes red with despair. "Are you angry? After all these years as childhood friends, you're sulking over such a trifle? Liang Jia, in your eyes, am I less important than your own glory?" The smile froze on his face, his voice turning icy. "Must you take this so seriously?" He grew irritated instead. "I only meant to teach you a lesson. Who knew you'd be so petty and unable to let it go? Who told you, as a young lady, to lack humility and restraint? Because Lucci, my childhood friend, had the audacity to expose me for plagiarizing Princess Lanue's poetry. At the banquet, everyone believed his words. From that day on, my path to mingling with the aristocratic families was completely blocked. Lucci stood guard beside the carriage, cold eyes glinting with amusement, watching without surprise as I was driven out. He towered over me, his gaze laced with pity as he wiped the tea dripping from my face. "Be good, Jai," he advised kindly. "Don't waste your energy chasing empty glory. Those people don't welcome you, but you still have me, don't you? You can rely on me. I'm not like them. I'll always be by your side, even if you ruin your reputation." His voice was soft and awkward as he spoke, turning his face away, unable to meet my gaze. After my initial shock, I found myself staring at his crimson-red ears, utterly amused. I end this new life. I clenched the paper in my hand, refusing to show it to him, and stood up to leave. Lucci's expression instantly turned cold. He rose to chase after me, but then, as if remembering something, slumped back down lazily. His voice, sharp and sarcastic, was loud enough for every guest at the noble ladies' banquet to hear. "Liang Jia, you're not exactly a genius, so you wouldn't dare try to cheat your way to glory again." His words landed like stones tossed into water, sending ripples across the room. Every gaze at the banquet turned toward me. Countless icy stares of suspicion and scorching mockery pierced my back like needles. Even some noble ladies, unaware of the situation, quietly shifted their seats, distancing themselves from me. I end this life. I hadn't even done anything yet, and already I tasted that feeling of utter isolation. Lucci seemed thoroughly satisfied with all the scrutinizing glances now fixed upon me. He didn't offer any explanation for me, instead adding fuel to the fire as if he'd accidentally let something slip. Your habit of petty theft, as your childhood friend. I've long tried to talk you out of it. A banquet isn't like a private school, these are all noble ladies from distinguished families. They're not easily fooled and will spot it right away. He painted a vivid picture, complete with dramatic details, even flaunting his status as my childhood friend. Whispers surged around me like a tidal wave, drowning me in their weight. Lu Qi grinned, his eyes fixed on my pale face with satisfaction. Wasn't that how you snatched first place in private school? I froze in place. His words cut deeper than they had in my past life. My gaze remained clear, no trace of the tolerance or panic from my past life. A mocking smile curved my lips. Instead of fleeing in panic as he expected, I walked step by step back to face him. My voice was as cold as ice, cutting like a blade as I demanded. You might as well speak plainly. No need for all this pretense. When and where did I, Liang Jiayi, ever cheat? Whose work did I plagiarize at the private school to win first place? The man who had been laughing a moment before froze. He hadn't anticipated this reaction. And for a moment, he stammered. The noble lady's banquet fell silent enough to hear a pin drop. Everyone waited for Lu Qi to refute me. But after a long pause, they realized he was merely making baseless accusations. No one took it seriously. As the banquet resumed its lively atmosphere, Lu Qi, his face dark with fury, vented his anger at me. Liang Jiayi, you don't recognize a kind heart. I said all that for your sake. Why must a young lady crave the spotlight? He swept his gaze around the room, his lips curling into a deeper, colder sneer. Numerous male guests were present at the noble lady's banquet. Lu Qi smiled, as if he could see right through me. You just want to steal the spotlight, outshine all the other noble ladies and more men, don't you? Can't wait to attract admirers and pick yourself a good husband? I froze. My blood ran cold, disbelief washing over me. I thought his belittling was merely because he disliked my boldness, fearing I'd embarrass him. Never did I imagine he'd look at me with such filthy evil eyes. After over a decade as childhood sweethearts, he was worse than a stranger, at least. Strangers wouldn't dare to speculate about me with such depraved thoughts. In that moment, I was utterly disillusioned. I yanked the hairpin he'd given me at my coming-of-age ceremony and hurled it at him. The white jade pin shattered into pieces on the floor. Lu Qi radiated cold fury as his eyes fixed on me. Liang Jia, you've really outdone yourself. I hit the nail on the head about your shameful thoughts. And you flew into such a rage you even threw away the hairpin I gave you. A surge of fury choked my chest, like swallowing a burning piece of charcoal. It seared through my very insides. Thinking back to my past life, I had cherished our years of friendship, enduring his treatment all along. In the end, I was left with a ruined reputation and nothing to show for it. After a deep breath, I calmed myself, my gaze sharp as a blade as I fixed it on him. That's what you think. Keep your filthy thoughts to yourself. Don't dare direct them at me. The noble lady's banquet is precisely the occasion for aristocratic daughters to showcase themselves. Why shouldn't I shine? I display my talents not to attract anyone's gaze, but solely for myself. I've devoured books and possess a jade heart. Why should I be covered in dust? I demand to be admired and praised. This is my own achievement. Lu Qi flared. Fine, I won't interfere. You'd better make a stunning debut. Don't end up disgraced. A fallen dog everyone wants to kick. My gaze sharpened, alert. I couldn't help but wonder what Lu Qi was scheming now. What new snare he'd set. I clenched the paper in my hand tighter, steadying my nerves. This lifetime, Lu Qi never saw my completed poetry. I would never suffer the fate of my past life. The moment for composing poetry arrived. I stared at the desk before me, hesitating to put pen to paper. After a long while, I finally resolved myself and copied the verses onto the paper. As the incense stick burned down, the noble ladies submitted their verses for evaluation by the distinguished scholars. I wiped the thin sheen of sweat from my brow. When Princess Lanyue's turn came, the chancellor's wife, serving as judge, nodded repeatedly in praise. Princess Lanyue's verse is exquisite, grand and majestic, embodying a heart for the world. It stands out as the finest among these compositions. Princess Lanue recited her verse effortlessly, winning thunderous applause from the entire hall. My eyelids fluttered, and my heart began to race uncontrollably. It was identical to the poem I had composed in my previous life, not a single word different. Princess Lanue covered her mouth with a smile, casting a triumphant glance my way. Next, when it was about to be my turn for my poem to be judged, just like in my past life, my childhood friend, Lu Qi, stepped forward from the crowd before anyone else. My face went pale as I looked at him, feeling as if I might collapse. Lu Qi hadn't seen my poem. That left only one possibility. 5. Lu Qi's expression turned grave, as if I'd committed a grave sin. After sighing, he began pleading on my behalf. Jiao Yi didn't intentionally plagiarize or copy someone else's work. As her childhood friend, I know her best. She's just childish, overly vain, and competitive. Seeing so many guests here, she desperately wanted to stand out. After the banquet, I'll give her a stern talking to. Please, give her one more chance. Lu Qi is my childhood friend. No one believes I was framed. I overheard them arguing earlier. They said she stole the top prize at her private academy too. So she's a habitual plagiarist. How despicable. What business does such a person have attending a noble lady's banquet? She's tarnishing the reputation of the other young ladies. Everyone around me shunned me like I was venomous. My breath caught, my cheeks burning. I trembled slightly as I looked toward Lu Qi. Lu Qi played his part so convincingly, shaking his head with a sigh, looking at me with that "I wish you'd just get it together" expression. As if, as my childhood friend, I'd brought shame upon him too. Unlike my past life, I forced myself to steady my nerves and spoke up in my defense. I never plagiarized. She stole my poetry and essays. No one believed my protestations. Standing utterly alone in the banquet center, I endured accusations and scorn. Lu Qi stood nearby, cold eyes mocking me, laughing at my self-inflicted misery. Princess Lanue descended from her lofty perch to stand before me, sneering. You claim you didn't plagiarize? Fine. Then produce your own work. That would prove your innocence. Wouldn't it? My hand shot out, clutching my papers tightly. To the crowd, this was a clear sign of guilt. And she says she didn't copy. What a stubborn mouth. Even the esteemed wife of the chancellor, the foremost noblewoman, lost her patience. Miss Liang, since you cannot prove your innocence, please withdraw. A noble lady values not only lineage but character. To plagiarize another's poetry in full view, merely to seek attention. The chancellor's wife laughed bitterly, shaking her head. Such depravity is unheard of among the noble daughters. My heart sank, tears threatening to spill. If the chancellor's wife's words spread, my reputation would be utterly ruined. My eyes reddened as I looked at my childhood friend, Lu Qi, pleading with my gaze for him to explain. Lu Qi looked utterly detached, curling his lips at me with amusement. Serves you right. Who told you to disobey? You needed a lesson. Suddenly, the crowd at the noble lady's banquet stirred, parting to make way. A trail of brocade and silk swept past. Everyone knelt. Greetings, Your Highness the Princess. Princess Wenying raised her hand with regal grace. Rise. I've come merely to join the festivities. I've heard our noble ladies are all brilliant scholars, composing verses that delight the ear. Ladies, how are your poems and essays progressing? I stood quietly with my head bowed amidst the crowd, while those around me sullenly kept their distance, making me stand out like a sore thumb. Even Princess Wenying noticed. I drew a deep breath, fighting back tears. The injustice and sorrow made it hard to breathe. In my past life, Princess Wenying hadn't appeared. Everyone knew she admired talent, but she had zero tolerance for flaws. Lu Qi sat lazily nearby, raising an eyebrow at me with a smirk, relishing my desperate plight. It dawned on me instantly. My heart stabbed with even sharper pain. Princess Wenying had been invited by him. He wanted me to suffer a fate worse than my past life, to be utterly disgraced. Never to raise my head again. Never to recover. Though the Chancellor's wife disliked me, she understood how crucial reputation and dignity were to a woman. She shot me a helpless glance and suppressed the paper I'd offered. But Princess Lan Yu refused to let me off. She cried out, "Your Highness, with your discernment, you can surely judge for your error." Lifting a finger, she pointed at me with disgust. "Someone here is ignorant and uneducated. Good only for petty theft. Bringing shame upon our noble ladies. This Liang Jiai, seeking attention, dared to steal the poems and essays I painstakingly composed." Under the princess's stern, scrutinizing gaze, I stood firm like an unbreakable green bamboo, speaking each word clearly. "No, this servant has never plagiarized." A mocking, chilling voice cut in. "Why persist in lying, Jiai? Why not confess before Her Highness? We've been childhood sweethearts, I won't abandon you. I'll plead your case to the princess. If punishment comes, I'll bear it with you." Lu Qi winked at me, his expression tender and indulgent. I fought back the nausea churning in my stomach. Pulling away from Lu Qi, Princess Wenying raised her hand. "Bring me the poems she composed. I shall review them personally." Princess Lanyue shot me a gleeful glance. The page of my poetry was presented before Princess Wenying. The paper unfolded, surprising everyone. It was completely blank, not a single word written. Lu Qi exhaled in relief, his eyes brimming with approval. "Finally learned your lesson? Realized you shouldn't show off recklessly? See? Only I treat you with genuine kindness." I remained silent. Lu Qi stepped forward to intercede. "Jiai is quite dim-witted. How could she possibly compose poetry? Leaving it blank means she forfeited. Your Highness, please don't waste your time on her. Have the paper destroyed at once." The palace attendant finally took the paper away. Princess Wenying suddenly spoke. "Wait." Lu Qi stiffened, the smile freezing on his lips. She took the teacup beside her and poured the liquid over the paper. The verses hidden beneath began to emerge, row after row of characters appearing. Silence fell over the banquet hall. I remained kneeling, cold sweat pouring down my back. This time, I didn't use the verses from my past life. Instead, I composed anew, improvising on the spot. To ensure Lu Qi couldn't frame me, even if I couldn't win outright. It was better than being misunderstood by all and having my reputation ruined. Princess Wenying gazed intently at the poem on the paper for a long time, then clapped her hands in admiration. Such poetry! Resonant and powerful. For the nation and its people, unlike the ordinary, melancholic verses of the inner chambers. I nearly missed such a masterpiece. Princess Lanyue paled, scrambling to her feet as she leaned in. "Cousin, she copied it all. You shouldn't praise someone like this. She deserves severe punishment." The Chancellor's wife presented both poems. After comparing them, Princess Wenying suddenly asked Lanyue beside her in a grave tone, "Did you write this poem?" Twisting the handkerchief in her hands, Lanyue swallowed hard and nodded. "Of course I wrote it. She copied everything from me. Princess, please drive her out." Princess Wenying laughed aloud. Both poems share the same style, clearly penned by one hand. Determining who plagiarized whom won't be difficult. "Compose another poem before me now." Princess Lan Yu gritted her teeth, crumpling the handkerchief in her fist. She couldn't compose another. "Lan Yu, upon returning to the palace, you shall receive punishment from the Grand Tutor. You are forbidden from attending such banquets for half a year." Princess Lan Yu reluctantly agreed, shooting me a hateful glare. Princess Wenying stepped forward, personally helping me to my feet. Her gentle voice inquired, "Miss Liang, would you be interested in serving as a court lady? A mind so profound, a heart so vast, it should not be wasted." My throat tightened. Tears fell unbidden. This time, they weren't tears of sorrow, but of overwhelming emotion. A fire blazed within my chest, burning fiercely. I was about to kneel and thank Her Highness for her gracious recognition. Lu Qi, standing beside me, stepped forward first, blocking my path. "Thank you for your kind offer, Princess. Jiayi cannot serve as a court lady." My brief shock gave way to his words. "Jiayi and I are to be married soon. A woman's place is to support her husband and raise children. Upholding the realm is a man's duty." No. My face drained pale. I refused to relinquish this chance to rise above and carve my name into history. Lu Qi yanked me forcefully into his embrace, whispering deliberately close to my ear, "How long will you sulk at me, Jiayi? We've been inseparable, knowing each other for years. Are you now reneging on our betrothal?" Betrothal? The man who caused my unjust death on the streets in my past life, how could I possibly marry him? I violently tore myself free from Lu Qi's embrace, disgusted to the point of wiping the places he'd touched. Princess Wenying didn't know whether Lu Qi and I had a betrothal, but she still gave me a sliver of hope. "Miss Liang, return and deliberate carefully. Once you've made up your mind, you may come to the princess's residence to see me. On the way back." Lu Qi blocked my carriage, his face dark and his tone sharp as he demanded, "Did you get your fill of glory at the banquet? Liang Jiayi? Are you satisfied now? Even the princess granted you the chance to enter the court as an official. You must be overjoyed." I'd had enough of his bitter sarcasm. No matter what I achieved, Lu Qi always had to tear me down. He'd never once been happy for me. He didn't feel like the childhood friend I'd known for over a decade, but more like an enemy who hated me to the bone. Thinking back to my past life, how I'd fought dogs for scraps and died of illness on the streets, I lifted the carriage curtain, my eyes devoid of emotion, and looked at him. "Lu Qi, have you finished your tantrum? Our friendship ends here. We will no longer be friends." Lu Qi froze, his eyes wide with disbelief. They flushed crimson as he stared at me intently. "Liang Jiayi, what did you say?" His trembling voice betrayed his panic. "Can't you see how I feel about you? Everything I did was for your own good. I only wanted to marry you." He choked back a sob. "Jiayi, I'll send the betrothal gifts tomorrow. Okay?" "No." I refused without hesitation. "Lu Qi, I have my own dreams and ambitions. I'm not anyone's possession, forced to endure your suppression and tiptoe around your moods. I'm exhausted. You've never respected me. Don't bother me anymore." He wasn't doing this for my sake. He was afraid I'd shine too brightly, afraid I'd soar too high and slip beyond his grasp. His guilt and inferiority drove him to dim my light, to bind me tightly with ropes, denying me any chance to spread my wings and reach the heavens. Lu Qi's lips twitched, his entire body radiating coldness, his expression darkening to its deepest shade. He sneered mockingly, "You just want to be an official's wife. Looking down on me, thinking I'm beneath you. So you kicked me aside. Liang Jiayi, you're the one who looks down on me. Do you really need to make yourself sound so pitiful?" I suddenly felt utterly disgusted. His stubborn, unreasonable behavior left me speechless. "Whatever. Think whatever you want. Lu Qi, we're no longer friends." After shaking him off, I instructed the driver to steer the carriage onto a secluded path. Just like in my past life, I found the regent, pursued by assassins, clinging to the edge of a cliff, barely clinging to life. After rescuing him, I paused for a moment. Unlike my previous life, I didn't carry him to the nearby abandoned temple. Instead, I had the driver take him toward the medical clinic. I stayed by the regent's side all night. When he awoke, weakly propping himself up, he asked in a hoarse voice, "Was it you who saved me?" This should have been my chance to claim credit. In my previous life, I had done just that. The regent had only just awakened, his body still not fully cleansed of toxins. Unable to clearly see my features, he had given me a jade pendant symbolizing status, instructing me to seek him out in the future should I wish to redeem the debt of saving his life. But it was precisely this jade pendant that plunged me into a desperate predicament. I hadn't hidden my rescue from Lu Qi. He learned I hadn't returned all night, that I'd spent the night alone with the regent prince, and that I'd saved his life. Even though Lu Qi knew the regent prince was unconscious and nothing could possibly have happened between us, he still turned pale with rage, smashed things all over the room, and yelled at me, "Liang Jiayi, have you no sense? Do you just save random men off the street? Have you read too many romance novels? Dreaming of being a heroine? Or did you see how strikingly handsome the regent prince is and think he'd remember your kindness and offer himself to you? Stop daydreaming. The position of regent prince's consort isn't for a woman of your station." Before I could utter a word, he unleashed a torrent of scathing insults. By the end, I had no strength left to defend myself. Every word he spoke was like a poisoned whip lashing against my skin, bitter and piercing. Lu Qi seized the regent's jade pendant with force, his voice cold as ice. "It's ultimately another man's possession. Jiao Yi, you're still a maiden. If others saw you with it, your reputation would suffer. I'll keep it safe for you." Seeing my reddened eyes and dejected expression, Lu Qi's face remained as cold as ice. "You can't bear to part with another man's jade pendant? I'm merely holding it for you. Jiao Yi, I'm your childhood friend. How could I harm you? I'll return this pendant to you after you're married." But I never got married. I only heard the regent prince's condition was unstable and went to check on him out of concern. Lu Qi appeared with my cousin, who bore a slight resemblance to me, clutching that very pendant. My cousin held my pendant, shedding pitiful tears. "Sister, I know you've always envied me. You secretly admired the regent prince. Yet you went so far as to steal my jade pendant and claim credit for saving his life." Lu Qi chimed in, "Regent prince, I can testify, the one who saved you that day was indeed the Liang family's cousin. She'd never gotten along with her cousin, narrow-minded and consumed by jealousy. Whatever others possessed, she sought to seize. Because of his 2 sentences, I was despised by the regent prince and thrown out of the prince's mansion. Father's career was also implicated. Under the pressure from my uncle's family, who had saved the regent prince, my parents drove me out of the house, leaving me, the bringer of misfortune, to fend for myself to end this new life. When the regent prince asked again if I was his savior, I smiled. "This humble maiden found you unconscious at the cliff's edge and brought you to the clinic. To be precise. The doctor there is your true savior. I voluntarily relinquished my claim as his benefactor and declined the jade pendant at his waist." After a brief silence, the figure on the sickbed spoke. "You did save me. I can grant you one favor, whatever you desire. Come find me once I've recovered." I feigned surprise and gratitude as I agreed, returning to the mansion. Having stayed out all night, Lu Qi had waited for me at home for a long time. Seeing me, his eyes first lit up with joy, then he noticed the bloodstains on my skirt. His expression abruptly changed, his face turning cold and frozen, like a storm was brewing. Sure enough, I end the next instant. Unable to contain his rage, he sneered at me. "Liang Jiai, do you feel uncomfortable unless you're the center of attention? Why can't you ever learn your lesson?" Hearing his words, I no longer remained silent. Instead, I retorted without restraint. "Lu Qi, what kind of relationship do we have? We're not even friends anymore. Why should I listen to you? I'm a puppet in your hands. Why must I always be controlled and obey you?" Lu Qi, seething with anger and resentment, repeated his line. "I'm only doing this for your own good," he snapped furiously. "Only loose women spend all day seeking attention, attracting admirers." I was so furious I laughed. "Lu Qi, you should go to the clinic to get your brain checked. If you wait too long, it might be too late." We couldn't see eye to eye, and Lu Qi stormed off in a rage. I thought this lifetime would mark the end of my connection with Lu Qi. Unexpectedly, days later, I encountered him again at the regent prince's residence. Not only him, but also my cousin, who bore a striking resemblance to me. My cousin produced a jade pendant identical to the one from my previous life. After a moment of stunned silence, I looked at Lu Qi. This lifetime, he hadn't taken the pendant from me, he'd secretly had a replica made. Lu Qi also spotted me. He hadn't expected me to appear at the regent's residence. His face twisted in rage, his chest heaving violently. This lifetime, I became the regent's disciple. Hearing of his mastery in military strategy and chess, I humbly sought his guidance. Beyond that, there was nothing else. But Lu Qi didn't see it that way. His eyes burned with hatred. Disregarding those present, he mocked me without a shred of courtesy. Liang Jiayi, you admit it. You were seeking the limelight just for a man. No wonder you couldn't wait to distance yourself from me. Afraid I'd hold you back from climbing higher, from becoming the regent prince's consort? My eyes burned crimson with suppressed fury. Finally, I could bear it no longer and slapped Lu Qi across the face. Lu Qi, I truly wish I had never known you. Must you destroy every shred of our decade-long friendship? Lu Qi grabbed his cousin beside him and shoved her before the regent prince. Your Highness, she is your true savior. He lifted his chin at me with contempt. She's nothing but a vain thief who stole someone else's identity. This jade pendant proves it. Your Highness, don't be deceived. You've mistaken the true benefactor. The regent prince fingered the chess piece in his hand, his lips curling into a cryptic smile. I have never given a jade pendant to anyone. Where did this jade pendant in your possession come from? What? The absolute certainty on Lu Qi's face, his contempt and hatred toward me, instantly dissolved into panic and dread. He believed everything would unfold as it had in his past life. But in this life, I never acknowledged the debt of saving my life. Naturally, I never possessed this jade pendant. The regent's piercing gaze fixed upon him. Both my cousin and Lu Qi trembled uncontrollably, unable to bear the pressure, and collapsed to their knees. The cousin Lu Qi had dragged along confessed first, pleading tearfully, "It has nothing to do with me. He made me come, saying he could make me the regent's benefactor, granting me wealth and honor." The regent waved his hand, summoning guards to take them away for interrogation. Lu Qi, flustered, fixed his gaze on me. "Jai, won't you plead for me? You know perfectly well every single thing I've done was for you. A woman who draws too much attention becomes a target of envy and contempt, doomed to a bitter end. How could you not understand my heartfelt intentions?" I clutched the chess piece in my palm. It took immense effort to suppress the hatred welling up inside. I end both lifetimes. Lu Qi claimed everything was for my sake. Yet he ruthlessly crushed me, using this very method to drive me into a corner. Your Highness, shall we continue our game? I didn't spare Lu Qi a single glance, nor did I intercede for him. Amidst his stunned gaze, I smiled and said, "This is for your own good. A little punishment in prison will teach you a lesson. Don't waste my good intentions." After Lu Qi and my cousin were locked in the dungeon, the regent demanded they reveal where they learned the design of his jade pendant. That pendant was a keepsake from his late mother, never shown lightly. Lu Qi couldn't possibly confess he'd been reborn. Unable to explain, he endured brutal torture until he was barely alive. Even if he survived, he'd be crippled. After all was settled, I sought out the regent prince to repay the debt of saving my life. Moonlight spilled like water across the silent, fragrant courtyard, beneath the osmanthus tree. After pondering for a long time, I spoke earnestly. "Your Highness, I wish to become the female envoy to the western regions." A flicker of surprise crossed his usually composed and unreadable face. The journey to the western regions was long and arduous, fraught with perilous hardships, a mission even men shunned. Yet I had sought him out willingly. He averted his gaze, lifting his head to the clear moon above. "Have you not considered becoming my consort? That would be far easier and more noble than being an envoy. Compared to being a consort, this humble maiden yearns to serve the common good and fulfill her ideals. As a woman, I seek an opportunity to earn an immortal legacy." I bowed solemnly. "When future generations remember me, it shall not be as someone's consort or another's family member, but by my full name, my identity as an envoy." Whenever I adorned myself slightly, he would frown, reach out to wipe away my rouge and powder, and snort with contempt. Such lofty ambitions. I believe that day will come. I took the palace examination for female officials. Princess Wenying personally supervised the examination. Seeing me clad in crimson official robes, stepping onto the palace's golden bricks, she finally exhaled in relief and smiled. A mind filled with poetry and books should not be held back by one's gender. Even the delicate shoulders of a woman can bear the weight of the state, ushering in a golden age for the people. Spring breezes warmed the air, willows by the post station brushing against faces. Dressed in official robes, I journeyed to the western regions as an envoy, forging a trade route through the vast desert between nations. Among the farewell crowd, I spotted Lu Qi, reduced to begging on the streets with his tongue cut out. Spotting me, he wept and rushed toward me. I did not linger to look at him, but mounted my horse and led the envoy's procession onward. The morning sun shone brightly, driving away the long night. My life, Liang Jiayi's life, was like a splendid landscape. It had only just begun. The end.